Hey everyone, I am Lily, and welcome to part 2 of my set review for the newest magic set, Throne of Eldraine. I am super excited for the set, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this intro part because I did a full intro in the last video where I talked about all the multicolor cards. So if you want to know more about kind of like how I'm evaluating this set, look in that video. But I'm evaluating it for mostly limited, primarily draft, but I'll make notes on sealed as well. So, yeah. Well, excuse me. Today's video, we're going to be talking about all the white cards. And, I mean, there's not much else to say, so let's just hop right into it and get underway, because these videos tend to run long. Alright. First up, we have Acclaimed Contender, which is a 3-mana 3/3. It is a knight, which is relevant. When it enters battlefield, if you control another knight, look at up 5 cards in your library. You may reveal a knight, or equipment, or legendary artifact from among them and put in your hand. Put the rest of them in the bottom of your library in a random order. Now, obviously, this is best if you're either in like Boros or Orzhov Knights. But I mean, if you're never on that stack, at the end of the day, it is a 3-mana 3/3, and that is a perfectly fine card to be running. Like, I don't think it's like a pack one, pick one. Like, I would pick like good removal out of this, but if I'm already in white and I'm kind of open to picking this up and kind of hedge and try to like, focus on like getting like into red or black, and you know, at the end of the day, you just end up running a 3-mana 3/3. That even if it doesn't actually trigger, it doesn't matter that much. I mean, so, like, while it obviously is best in that knight deck, it doesn't need to be. And, but that said, it isn't super important to grab. Like, it isn't super high impact, and I wouldn't, like, pick just solid, like, better solid cards over it. Likely, especially early on, until I'm in that deck. All That Glitters. Each is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Okay, so it counts itself, so at the base level it is a 2-mana +1/+1 aura, which is awful. So this obviously wants to be in that blue-white artifact and enchantress deck. And in that deck, I think this is just like, if you have things that care about having enchantments, maybe, but really, I'm not like, I want my auras to have a lot more oomph to it, and this doesn't have that oomph to it. Auras leave you open to get 2 for 1 very easily. This just isn't doing that much, so I'm pretty low on All That Glitters. The fact that it's both situational and when it is good to have a creature that wants this kind of aura. And typically, I also like having keywords of my auras. Like in, like, I think the last, like, really good aura that we had was all the way back in Dominaria. And that was, like, on Sarah's Wings, which gave it keyword soup and all that. But, so I'm not high on All That Glitters whatsoever. Next, we have Archon of Absolution, which is a 4-mana 3/2 with flying. Protection from white. And creatures cannot attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller plays 1 for each of those creatures. So, this is like, just first and foremost, it is a 4-mana 3/2 flyer, and that is perfectly fine. Like, it's a little understated. I'd prefer to have like an extra point of toughness, but you know what, 4-mana 3/2 flyer, that's alright. That's a decent 4-drop. Protection from white is sometimes relevant. I mean, in the attacking the air, white is one of the colors of flyers. And the, like, half a propaganda effect is really solid. Like, it disrupts your opponent's aggression, where we're late game, it stops mattering as much when they're not really playing that much. But if you are kind of like on the beatdown in any sort of white deck, and white does tend to lean more aggressive, just causing them to slow down their race a little bit really can help that. And with kind of an aggressive creature like this, I don't like that at all. So I do quite like Archon of Absolution quite a fair bit. Last time we saw this effect was in Dominaria again on Baird, Steward of Archive, and he was real solid, and honestly this guy has better stats than Baird. Ardenvale Paladin. It is a 4-mana, 2/5 that is a human knight, so it is a knight, but it also has Adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast the spell, enters a ++1 counter. So, Adamant as a mechanic is, even if it's one of your main colors, you cannot evaluate a card guaranteeing that you'll have Adamant every time. Just because you're not going to have that unlimited. Like, you might have one or the other, having 3 of them of one each mana, but it's not going to be 100%. So you gotta look at it. Do I mind playing this card if I don't have Adamant? A 4-mana 2/5 isn't great, but it's not unplayable. Like, there's been worse stats. And it is a knight, which is a relevant creature type. And if you have an Adamant, it's a 4-mana 3/6. And I do like that. Like, that's not bad. That's a good body. And I feel like all those things combined, like, make it just be, like, it's fine. Like, you're not... The 4-drop slot is kind of competitive and limited. But, I mean... I would say if you're in like Orzhov or Boros and you care about those knight synergies, it's not bad. And if you need a 4-drop, it's alright, but it's nothing amazing. It's just, it is a vanilla creature at the end of the day, and that goes from anywhere from like to alright, I'll take it. And yeah, I'm not picking it highly, but I'm not embarrassed to run it, and that's kind of where I am on it. Ardenvale Tactician. It is a 1 white for 2/3 with flying, and it also has an adventure, which, if you don't recall, with these adventure cards, you can either you can cast it as a creature, or you can cast it as an adventure, and those are instants and sorceries, and then you exile it, and then you can cast that creature later on. And Ardenvale Tactician is a 1 white, or so its adventure, Dizzying Swoop, is 1 and a white for an instant that has tap up to 2 target creatures. Honestly, its adventure is only okay. Like, yeah, it'll sometimes be useful to like push through some damage and tap down some blockers or like stem some bleeding, but I think most of the time you're going to just be playing this as a 3-mana 2/3 flyer and being perfectly happy with it. Like, it does have the benefit of having that adventure if you are in like green-white adventures, because there's some things that care about that. This is a perfectly reasonable adventure card, but for the most part this is going to be a vanilla 2/3 flyer, and that's fine. That's honestly quite good, and not a bad 3-drop whatsoever. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. Like, not like tons, like it is still like a French vanilla like common creature, but as 3-drops go, this is a real nice one. Bartered Cow, which is a 4-mana 3/3, and whenever it dies or whenever you discard it, create a food token. 4-mana 3/3 is not good stats. It fails the vanilla test, and it dying and giving you a food token, I don't know if it's that impactful. Like, white doesn't care about food that much as compared to like blue, black, and green, so you're not really using that food token to your whole value. Like, maybe if you do have you've paired up with a color that, and you do have some of those other food payoffs, maybe you'll run this, but if I'm not, like, we've already seen much better 4-drops at the slot, so I'm not big on Bartered Cow. Beloved Princess, which is 1/1, 1 white for a 1/1 lifelink that cannot be blocked with creatures of power 3 or greater. 1-mana 1/1s, no matter seldom, are worthwhile. And this text isn't great. Like, the evasion is minimal, it's rare they get to be able to get in. It just, don't play this. It's not good. Sorry, beloved princess, but you are not beloved by me. Charming Prince. 1 and white for 2/2. so it's a bear, so what do you know? But when he enters the battlefield, choose one. Scry 2, gain 3 life, or blink a creature, exile it, and return to the battlefield and when during its next end step. German Prince is real good. I think most of the time you will just be choosing Scry 2 unless you have a good blink target, or if you really need life, but 2 mana 2/2 Scry 2 and having that flexibility if you care about like that is just real solid. Like the stats alone are passable, and that's just a good effect. And like I would play it if it was just Scry 2, and the fact that it has that extra flexibility makes me just even better. So yeah, I like German Prince a lot. The Circle of Loyalty. This is the first in this cycle that each color has a legendary artifact that has some sort of cost-reducing mechanic. And the Circle of Loyalty is a 6-mana artifact, 4 white, that costs 1 less for each knight you control. And it gives all your creatures +1/+1, and whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 knight creature token with Vigilance. And you pay 4 and tap it to create a 2/2 knight creature token with Vigilance. I think this is fantastic. This one is just very nice. Like, even if you're only running a few knights, which if you're running white, honestly, if you're running any color, you're gonna have some incidental knights. Like, even more so than other like sets of tribal themes. Like the set, just like all the colors have some knights, even if like blue and green don't have as many knights. So you're gonna cast it for less than 6 most of the time, and even at 6, it's not terrible. Like, I don't love paying 6 mana for Anthem. The knights on casting legendaries isn't wonderful, but essentially be able to pay like 4 every turn and make a 3/3 is a great late game mana sink and will quickly just overwhelm the board. Okay, not quickly, but like over time will just really like give you a lasting board presence. And yeah, no, it's a real solid. It's what you'd expect from a mythic. Deafening Silence, which is 1 white for an enchantment. Each player cannot cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. This is garbage. Don't play Unlimited. You wouldn't play Rule of Law. You wouldn't play Deafening Silence. You don't need to stop people from storming off in Throne of Eldraine Limited. Don't play this. Fairy Guide Mother, which is 1 white for a 1/1 flyer. But it has an adventure for 1 and a white for a sorcery, unfortunately, to give target creature +2/+1 and gain flying until end of turn. So the kind of the idea is that you can like push in some damage. Its body is honestly, I don't really care for this. Like a 1-mana 1/1 flyer. I don't like flying men in my decks. That's not what I'm looking to put in my deck. But that sorcery also isn't something I want. And on its own, the two of these together don't make me want this card. If you have like a few of those unicorns that like care about casting like creatures of adventure or the thing that doubles the stuff, like maybe you're getting somewhere, but I'm not really looking to play Fairy Guide Mother. So, sorry. Flutterfox. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2, and as long as you control an artifact or enchantment, Flutterfox has flying. You know, I like this in most decks. Like, you might see like, oh, artifact enchantment, it obviously is best in white-blue, but I mean, black and green have a lot of access to food. Like Boros will have like some of the the equipment and like other stuff where you will instantly have food, and that gives this flying. And at the base level, it's just a 2/2 for 2, and that's not great in Limited, but kind of the place to I evaluate bears is essentially, or at least 2 drops, where it's like, is this either very efficient on turn 2, which this is not really, or is it relevant in the late game? And flyers are almost always relevant in the late game, and really, most decks will have this be a flyer with just incidental food by the late game, so I like it quite a bit, and not just in that like artifact enchantment deck. Fortifying Provisions. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +0/+1, and when your battlefield, create a food token. Okay, so both of these are very medium effects that I'm not really wanting to spend a card on. But like, I do like this in the blue-white artifact and enchantment deck, because it's 3 mana and you get an enchantment that won't go away because it's not an artifact or anything, and no one's going to spend a disenchant on this. And you get an artifact at the same time, so you trigger both of your needs for a lot of your cards. And I guess if you have some food payoffs, maybe you'll run this, but I mostly want it in white-blue, and really only if I have these payoffs. If I don't have those payoffs, I'm not really looking to play Fortifying Provisions. It's just not really the thing that I want. Giant Killer. It is rare. It's a 1 mana 1/2 that has 1 white tapped target creature. The creature side of this is great. I would play that card. And its adventure side is 2 and a white, instant, destroy target power for 4 or greater. This is essentially 2 removal spells stapled into 1. It's a tapper, even it's a little bit more expensive a tapper. And a removal spell I'd be totally happy to play. So, yeah, Giant Killer, like, easily first pickable. Yeah, no, just real efficient. Not much else to say. Glass Casket. 1 and a white for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls for mana cost 3 or less until Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. I mean, it's not the best removal in the world because it only hits small things, but removal is removal is removal, and this is removal. It's an artifact for blue-white, and also it has a nice into the battlefield effect of cause endless drama on Maro's Twitter or Tumblr, so that's cool too. I'm of the opinion of, I don't care that this is an artifact kind of what is traditionally enchantment space. They have not been that mechanically distinct, and that's okay. Fight me. Please don't, actually. I don't care enough to really argue it. But you know, it's removal. I like it. Like, don't run him. It doesn't hit the big stuff that you usually want to spend removal on, but it's efficient. It's cheap. Yeah. Happily Ever After. 2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your strength total, you win the game. You should not be running all 5 colors in your deck. Don't play this card. It's a build around for constructed. It is not meant for limited. Just don't. You're not going to make it there. You might have a dream. Wake up. You're not getting there. Just don't play this card. Harmonious Archon. It is a mythic, but it is a 6 mana 4/5 flyer. I like those stats. Like, seems decent. Non-Archon creatures, not you control, all non-Archon creatures have base power and toughness 3/3. And when it enters battlefield, create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. So essentially it makes everything just 3, which might make things bigger, might make things smaller, but it does make them a threat. And it does make almost everything trade with each other except for it. And it makes 2 1/1s, which will be 3/3s. So I think this is real solid. Like, essentially, it gums up the ground real well and gives you, like, a nice barrier while it is just getting in for 4 damage each turn, and they need 2 flyers to kill it. And I think that's just great. Also, it looks rad. But, yeah, no. It's just a real efficient threat, and yes, there will be situations where it's like, oh no, my opponent has lots of 1/1s, and this will be really bad. And then you don't cast it, and it'll be fine. And even then, it's like you're getting 3 bodies from this thing, so yeah. Hushbringer. It is 1 and a white for a 1/2 with flying and lifelink. Creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. that second ability I don't think is super relevant. Like, it'll sometimes hit something. You should make sure that you don't have too much ETB stuff on your own board. But if you just look at it as a 1/2 flying lifelink, that's passable. Like, I might run that. I might run the ASMR fairy, but I think it's just fine. It is fine. If you fall off its ETB effects, obviously don't run it. But yeah. And obviously in the sideboard, like, if it doesn't make the cut for your main board, yeah, you might sideboard it in if you know your opponent has stuff with ETB effects, but yeah, you're not going out your way for this. This is a super high pick and draft. Knight of the Keep. It is a 3-mana 3/2 that is a knight. I mean, it's a vanilla creature. It isn't amazing, but it is a knight, and if you're in the knight deck and have those knight synergies, you'll run it. If you happen to need 3-drops, which I don't really run into the issue of needing 3-drops in limited, sure, it's a 3-drop, and I like 3/2s a lot more than I like 2/3 for 3s, so it's fine, it's acceptable, but I'm not happy about it. Linden, the Steadfast Queen. It is white, white, white for a 3/3 of Vigilance. Now whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. It is triple white, which all the stuff there, you want to like have pretty good mana. You probably don't want to be splashing off of your colors. And I don't mean like splashing for this, because obviously no. But like, you probably don't want to be stretching your mana where like you're already splashing for like a 3rd color. But she's a 3-mana 3/3 Vigilance, and yeah, I mean, like, the little bit of life gain tacked on is fine, so she's not amazing, but she's like solid in any sort of, if you're already base white, so yeah, no, that's about where I'm at. And she's a rad sword, so that she also has that going for her. But yeah, no, it's just like, it's good stats, and that's what you're paying for. But I wouldn't, like, if I had the choice between like splashing for another color and like maybe containing my mana for like having good things there, she isn't, like, kind of consider like triple color cards as being a splash of your own color. And if you're already there, yeah, but I'm not really going out of my way to make sure I can play her. She's no Benelish Marshall. Lonesome Unicorn. It is a 5-mana 3/3 of Vigilance, and it has a sorcery or a adventure that is 2 and a white that makes it 2/2 with Vigilance. So, kind of thing about this is just kind of 2 creatures like in a weird like payment plan, and neither of them are costed well. I don't like playing 3 mana for 2/2 Vigilance. I really don't like playing like 5 mana for 3/3 Vigilance. But that flexibility is there. It fills out your curve, and it just seems fine. Like, you're put them together, like they're filling out different parts of your curve, and it's fine. Like, I'm not super excited to play this. I'm not super excited to pick it up, but I'll play it and it'll be fine. It also makes a knight, which is relevant for the knight decks, as I always say, and it's an important thing to pay attention to when evaluating these. And if you do care about adventures, like, this is a perfectly fine one, because if you're trying to play that adventure deck, you're gonna need some of the mediocre adventures. Mysterious Pathlighter. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 of flying. Each creature you control that has an adventure enters battlefield with additional +1/+1 counter on it. So it's Windrake, and Windrakes are always usually just fine. Like, I don't hate them, I don't love them, but they're fine. And you know, if you are in that green-white adventure stack, or even if you're in like white X and you happen to have like a few adventures, this seems perfectly acceptable. And really the downside, if you have a few of them, is essentially, oh no, I only have a Windrake that might accidentally at some point give me 3 worth of power, and that's fine. So I like this for a bit, and you're likely to have some adventures, and yeah, that's where I'm at. Where it's like the downside is very low, and in the right deck it can be very nice. Outflank. 1 white for an instant. It deals damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Now, obviously, it is bad if you don't have, if you're behind and your like board state's very low. But I mean, it is decent removal, and it's honestly one of the best pieces of common removal white gets in this set. And yeah, you'll run it, and sometimes it'll be bad and it'll feel bad, but other times like it has some flexibility. Like if you have 2 creatures out, it's slashing talons, and that was always like fine. And it being more and I think this over flash talons is more of a downside than an upside, I find. But if you're doing anything that comes up the ground and increases a board stall, and you're just getting with the things, like it'll be fine. You'll run them, and you may not be excited about it, but you'll run it because you need removal because you're playing limited. Prize Griffin, which is a 5-mana 3/4 flying. I want a little bit more stats on my 5-mana stuff, but this is fine. Like, obviously, if you need like 5-drop slots, you're not looking to play tons of 5-drops, but it's fine. That's where I'm at, where it's fine. If you need a 5-drop, it's a 5-drop. Rally for the Throne. 2 and a white for an instant to create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. And if you, as Adamant, if you spend at least 3 white mana, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. Well, that Adamant thing really doesn't change how I evaluate the card. Do I want to pay 3 mana for a Raise the Alarm? Anyway, it's not the worst. Like, I might run it. Like, I'm happy that you can sometimes ambush creatures, and it is 2 bodies, even if it's undercosted, and if you sometimes gain life from it, sure. I think it's just a fine 3-drop. I'm not excited about it, but it's fine. Realm Cloaked Giant. It is a 7-mana 7/7 Vigilance with an adventure of 3 white to destroy all non-giant creatures. Board wipes are good, and this is no exception. And the fact that it's a board wipe that then comes with a 7/7 makes me like this. Like, this is very nice. I do really like this card because I like playing board wipes in limited. Because I mean, but you know, this is just good. Righteousness. It's 1 white for an instant. Target blocking creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. Essentially, this says destroy attacking creature as long as you have a blocker for it. And honestly, that is way too situational for me. Like, it's just, yeah, that's it. It's just way too situational. I don't like this. I want my combat tricks to be working in a variety of situations, not just when blocking. And yeah, that's about where I'm at. Like, sometimes you'll get blown out by this, but you'd get blown out by any combat trick in that situation. And I'd rather have one that can also like push the damage to close out the game or win when I'm attacking. So, yeah. Shepherd of the Flock. It's a 2-mana 3/1, sorry, which I don't love, but it has an instant with for 1 white to return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. You know what? I don't mind that. Like, if you look at this as kind of like a rescue card that also comes with the 3/1, that's fine. Like, if I'm running that adventure deck, or I like this like it decently, if you have anything that has an ETB effect, you can save something from a removal spell or something like that. And overall, I just think all that combined makes it fine. Shining Armor. 1 and a white for an equipment with Flash. When it enters battlefield, attached target knight you control. It gets +2/+0 and has Vigilance. It has equip for 3. So, okay. Obviously, if you're not in the knight deck, this is garbage. If you are in that knight deck, so either Boros or Orzhov, it's essentially like a 2-mana a weird combat trick that like sticks around, kind of like it's like an aura essentially, but like can then stick, like it really sticks around. I just don't think it does enough. Like, +2 isn't doing anything. I like my combat tricks to give me extra power. Same thing with my equipment. And that doesn't really do any of that, either of those. And vigilance isn't really a keyword I'm looking to do. Especially when, like, all like the knight tokens and stuff in the set already have vigilance. So, I'm not huge on shining armor. Silver Flame Ritual. 3 and a white for sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And if at least 3 white mana were spent to cast the spell, creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn. Okay. You know what was like an alright card in Word of the Spark? The one of a Johnny and everyone like touching like a Johnny and Gideon, and the Celestia one that like put a +1 counter on all your creatures, but that was 3 mana. It was instant speed, and it was in a set with Proliferate, which I actually cared about getting that first counter on them. This is 4 mana, sorcery speed. Giving stuff vigilance is not relevant, let's be honest. And in a set that doesn't really care about +1/+1 counters. This is garbage, don't run this. Next. Silver Flame Squire. It is a 2 mana 2/1. Notably not a knight. He is still a squire, not a knight. But it has an instant or adventure for 2 and a white to give charge creature +2/+2 until end of turn and untap it. So it is a bad creature and an overcosted combat trick in one. Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, if you need a 2-drop if you like need a creature, and otherwise it's just like a combat trick when you need one. If you care about the instant sorcery side, like, I'm not great on it, but I don't hate it. Like, it's one of those like kind of like split card things where it's like these are both mediocre cards, but I guess together it's acceptable. And that's about what it describes it. This is acceptable, I guess. I'm not really looking to play it, but having 2 drops is nice. Sir Alan, the Lion's Claw. It is the uncommon legendary of white, which is a 5 mana 4/4 first strike. Now those stats alone, I like quite a bit. Like, 4/4 I think is like that sweet spot of stats where it's like, yes, that is like a nice brick on the battlefield, and having first strike is even better. And whenever it attacks other creatures you control, get ++1 until end of turn. You know, it's a good card in like Guilds of Ravnica, Inspiring Unicorn. And this is Inspiring Unicorn that is also a 4/4 first strike. And it's also a knight that cares about knights. Like, this guy is fantastic. So yeah. Honestly, A+. I can see myself first picking this when it's a garbage rare and nothing else in the pack, and being honestly pretty happy about him. So yeah, go Sir Alan. Trapped in the Tower. 1 and a white for an enchantment, aura, and enchants a creature without flying. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities cannot be activated. This is great. It's essentially, it's your pacifism. Yeah, man, pacifism is a good card. This will be great. This is like fantastic. Easily first pickable, honestly. And yeah, I would mention like, oh, in the blue-white auras artifacts, like Aura's deck, it will be even better, but you're running this regardless of what deck you're running it in, so that's a moot point. True Love's Kiss. 2 white for an instant, exile target artifact or enchantment, draw a card. This is sideboard only. Like, we're not really any super like heavy like artifact deck or artifact like enchantment format where you're really going to be mainboarding these, but there are powerful ones that like there's like the Mythic Cycle and some other stuff, and you might want to run it in the sideboard, but otherwise don't run this mainboard. Venerable Knight. It's a 1 mana 2/1, so it's the Savannah Lions, and Savannah Lions have been a staple of white since Alpha, and when it dies, put a +1/+ counter on target knight you control. So, 1 mana 2/1s are fine, but it is a relevant creature type, and it puts counters when it dies, so I like this fair bit. Like, obviously you want to be in that knight deck, but I mean, even on that, if you just have a few incidental nights, I'm perfectly fine with running this. And obviously, it's great if you're kind of in that like Boros or Orzhov like night beatdown aggro. Worthy Knight. 1 and a white for 2/2. And whenever you cast a Night creature spell, also is a knight. Just so you were wondering if Worthy Knight is a knight, yes, it is. But whenever you cast a knight, make a 1/1 human creature token. It's a 2-mana 2/2 of a relevant creature type, and whenever you cast that relevant creature type, which you're in white, you've seen how many knights we have just incidentally, you make a token. This is fantastic, easily first pickable. Honestly, I could see one being one of the better rares of the set for limited. So obviously it pushes you to be in that knight deck, but even with a few other knights in your deck, if you're like in white blue or white green, you can still run this. It is perfectly fine. Youthful Knight. 1 and a white for 2/1 for strike. This is a 2-drop I can get behind. Like Fresh Face Recruit and Guilds of Ravnica was decent, and this one is first strike always. And it's also a relevant creature type. So yeah. A+. Okay, not A+ in terms of rating, but like as common 2-drops go, A+. And that will be it for white in Throne of Eldraine. So lots of knights, as you would probably expect. But yeah, no, white's looking decent. It looks aggressive, as you're kind of expect. White is a more aggressive color, but looks interesting. And kind of trying to put that like knight deck together. Yeah, no, this is a set I feel like it has very clear themes that like the colors are going for, because you have like white blue, the artifact enchantment, white black and white red, the knights, and the white green like adventures that all have like clear pieces. Like this is the deck you're going for. Yeah, and I'm excited for it. So as always, let me know if you disagree with my evaluations of any of these. I want to get better just like you. And yeah, I'll see you around tomorrow for when we do blue. So, I hope you all have a wonderful night's sleep. I hope you have wonderful dreams. And as always, may your stories smile upon you.